True Grit was the defining Western that finally won John Wayne his Oscar, a cinematic monument to courage and the raw, unyielding American spirit. But off-screen, the grit turned into a gruesome battle for survival against a relentless reaper. The cast was stalked by a shadow of aggressive cancers, brutal accidents, and the agonizing decay that turned tough-as-nails legends into frail, suffering shadows. The dust of the frontier has settled on graves filled too soon, hiding stories of pain that no eye patch could cover. Saddle up as we uncover who died with a massive empire and which gunslinger faced a final agonizing death that shocked Hollywood. John Wayne, born on May 26, 1907, portrayed the one-eyed U.S. Marshal Rooster Cogburn in True Grit in 1969. At the age of 62, the Duke was physically deteriorating, yet he delivered the performance that finally won him an Academy Award after 40 years of being Hollywood's cowboy. While he was the highest-paid actor of his generation, commanding a salary of $1 million plus 35% of the gross profits for this film, a staggering package amounting to roughly $8.5 million in today's currency. His immense wealth could not purchase immunity from the radiation that ravaged his body. He was a dying titan, having already lost a lung to cancer 5 years prior, performing his own stunts while gasping for breath in the high altitude of Colorado, hiding an oxygen mask just out of frame. The man who symbolized American strength was secretly terrified of the Big C, a fear he drowned in whiskey and relentless work to support a lifestyle that was bleeding him dry. His final years were a gruesome battle against stomach cancer, a disease that hollowed out the toughest cowboy in cinema history, reducing the 250-pound giant to a frail shadow who screamed in agony behind hospital doors. Possessing an estimated net worth of $6.8 million, equivalent to $30 million today, he died on June 11, 1979, at age 72 due to stomach cancer. While John Wayne was the dying sun around which the film orbited, his co-star was a rising star in the music world who would eventually face a fading of a different, more terrifying kind. Glenn Campbell, born on April 22, 1936, portrayed the Texas Ranger LaBeouf in True Grit in 1969. At age 33, the rhinestone cowboy was at the peak of his musical fame, handpicked by Wayne to attract a younger audience despite his lack of acting experience. For his first major film role, he was paid a handsome fee of $100,000, which adjusts to roughly $850,000 today, a fortune for a supporting role, yet a pittance compared to the music royalties he generated. However, the tragedy of Campbell's life was not financial, but cognitive. The man who memorized complex guitar solos was slowly and painfully erased by Alzheimer's disease. His final years were a public, heartbreaking documentary of decay, as he embarked on a goodbye tour, where he often forgot the lyrics to the songs that made him a millionaire, looking out at the crowd with confused, terrified eyes. The sharp-shooting ranger who argued with Wayne on screen eventually lost the ability to speak, play music, or recognize his own children trapped in the silent prison of his failing mind, while the world watched him disappear. Possessing an estimated net worth of $50 million, died on August 8, 2017 at age 81 due to Alzheimer's disease. Campbell lost his memory, but the man they hunted in the film had lost his entire livelihood years prior due to the paranoia of a nation. Jeff Corey, born on August 10, 1914, portrayed the cowardly killer Tom Chaney in True Grit in 1969. At age 55, appearing as the primary antagonist was a triumphant but bitter return for a man whose career had been assassinated by the U.S. government. His compensation for this pivotal villainous role was a modest fee estimated at $10,000, or roughly $85,000 adjusted for inflation, a sum that serves as a grim reminder of the earning power he lost during his prime. Corey was a victim of the Hollywood Blacklist, banned from working for 12 years because he refused to name names to the House Un-American Activities Committee. While he survived by becoming one of the industry's most respected acting teachers, mentoring stars like Jack Nicholson, the deep psychological wound of being exiled by his own country never fully healed. He spent the best years of his life selling lumber and teaching in garages. Instead of winning Oscars, a creative genius, stifled by political paranoia, who finally got to play the villain only after his life had been ruined by real-life villains. Possessing an estimated net worth of $2 million, he died on August 16, 2002 at age 88 due to complications from a fall. Corey taught the next generation of rebels, one of whom would share the screen with him in this film, representing the counterculture clash that terrified the establishment. Dennis Hopper, born on May 17, 1936, portrayed the young outlaw Moon in True Grit in 1969. At age 33, Hopper was on the verge of counterculture superstardom with Easy Rider. But on this set, he was just a supporting player, clashing with the conservative John Wayne. For his brief but memorable role involving a chopped-off finger, he was paid a standard scale rate estimated at $5,000, which adjusts to roughly $42,000 today, a microscopic amount compared to the millions he would soon command. His presence on set was a volatile mix of method acting and real-life rebellion, foreshadowing a life consumed by drug-fueled madness that nearly destroyed him in the 1970s. He famously claimed Wayne wanted to punch him, representing a cultural war that Hopper fought with cocaine and alcohol for decades, losing his mind and his money in a haze of excess. The tragedy of his final act was a grueling battle with prostate cancer that metastasized to his bones, leaving the once wild rebel frail and weighing less than 100 pounds in his final days, fighting for a divorce on his deathbed. Possessing an estimated net worth of $40 million, he died on May 29, 2010 at age 74, due to complications from prostate cancer. Hopper's Moon died young in the film, betrayed by his partner in the cabin, a man played by an actor who spent his life waiting for a break that never truly came. Jeremy Slate, born on February 17, 1926, portrayed the treacherous outlaw Emmett Quincy in True Grit in 1969. At age 43, he shared the screen in the film's most tense standoff alongside Dennis Hopper, playing the knife-wielding partner in crime. Despite his rugged good looks and screen presence that rivaled Steve McQueen, his pay for this supporting role was a standard weekly rate estimated at $1,500, totaling perhaps $4,500 for his shoot, which adjusts to roughly $38,000 today. He was a quintessential, almost famous actor trapped in the biker movie genre of the 60s, and never breaking through to the lucrative tier of leading men, denying him the financial security of his co-stars. His life was a quiet struggle for recognition in a town that viewed him as a disposable tough guy, leading him to eventually leave Hollywood to become a lyricist and writer. The final curtain fell with agonizing slowness. He was diagnosed with esophageal cancer, a devastating disease often linked to smoking and drinking, which slowly closed his throat and silenced his voice. Possessing an estimated net worth of $1 million, he died on November 19, 2006 at age 80 due to complications from esophageal cancer surgery. From the treacherous outlaw in the cabin, we move to the legitimate businessman in town, played by a character actor whose voice was as unmistakable as his tragedy. Strother Martin, born on April 1, 1919, portrayed the exasperated horse trader Colin G. Stonehill in True Grit in 1969. At the age of 50, Martin brought a frantic sweating energy to the screen that perfectly countered John Wayne's stoicism, cementing his status as one of the finest character actors of his generation. Despite stealing every scene he was in, his financial compensation was a sobering reflection of the Hollywood hierarchy. While Wayne pocketed millions, Martin was paid a standard supporting contract rate estimated at $2,500 per week, which adjusts to roughly $21,000 in today's currency. This sum, while respectable for a working man, was a microscopic crumb compared to the banquet the studio executives feasted upon using his talent. His life was a study in physical irony. Known for playing whiners, cowards, and failures, Martin was actually a former swimming champion and diving instructor for the U.S. Navy, a physical prime that slowly eroded under the pressure of maintaining his career. The tragedy of his existence was the industry's refusal to see him as a leading man, trapping a brilliant artistic soul in the body of a colorful local forever. He worked himself to the bone to prove his worth, appearing in countless films, until his heart simply could not take the strain anymore, giving out just as he was becoming a household name. Possessing an estimated net worth of $2 million, he died on August 1st, 1980, at age 61, due to a heart attack. While Colonel Stonehill negotiated with words, the man representing the law in Mattie's life famously negotiated with a voice that belonged in a nursery, not a courtroom. John Fiedler, born on February 3, 1925, portrayed the gentle but firm lawyer Daggett in True Grit in 1969. At age 44, Fiedler brought a shocking twist to the gritty Western landscape. His distinct high-pitched voice was instantly recognizable to millions as the voice of Piglet in Disney's Winnie the Pooh, creating a jarring, surreal contrast in a film about murder and vengeance. Despite being the voice of a billion-dollar Disney franchise, his pay for live-action roles like this was a humiliating standard scale rate, estimated at $1,200 per week, or roughly $10,000 adjusted for inflation. A stark reminder that voice actors and character performers were the underclass of the industry, denied the massive residuals that their animated characters generated for eternity. His personal life was shrouded in the quiet, suffocating closet of mid-century Hollywood. As a gay man living with his brother James for his entire adult life, he was forced to hide his true self to maintain his career in a homophobic industry. The tragedy of his final days was a double blow of grief and illness. He battled cancer while watching his brother and life partner deteriorate, a bond so close that they died within 1 day of each other. Possessing an estimated net worth of $3 million accumulated through decades of tireless work, he died on June 25, 2005 at age 80 due to cancer. From the distant voice of the lawyer, we move to the woman who provided the physical roof over the young heroine's head, witnessing the grit firsthand. Edith Atwater, born on April 22, 1911, portrayed the stern landlady Mrs. Floyd in True Grit in 1969. At age 58, she embodied the domestic hardness of the frontier, a role that required her to hold her own against the stubborn Mattie Ross. Despite a distinguished career on Broadway and later fame on General Hospital, her compensation for this feature film appearance was a meager day player rate estimated at $900, which adjusts to roughly $7,500 in today's currency, a wage that barely acknowledged her decades of theatrical discipline. She was a victim of the systemic gender pay gap of the 1960s, where veteran actresses were treated as interchangeable background texture, paid a fraction of what their male counterparts received for similar screen time. Her life was a quiet struggle against the physical ravages of time. She battled cancer in her later years, a disease that slowly stripped away the commanding presence she used to rule the boarding house. The drama of her final years was compounded by the loss of her husband, actor Kent Smith, just a year before her own death, leaving her to face the end in a state of grief and physical decline. She died without the fanfare of her male co-stars, a working actress who faded into the history books quietly. Possessing an estimated net worth of $1.5 million, she died on March 14, 1986, at age 74 due to cancer. Mrs. Floyd provided a temporary home, But the emotional anchor of the story waited back in Yell County, a mother paralyzed by the violence that destroyed her family. Elizabeth Harrower, born on May 28, 1918, portrayed Mattie's grieving mother, Mrs. Ross, in True Grit in 1969. At age 51, she took on the role of the woman left behind, a character defined by loss and helplessness. Her financial reality in Hollywood was so precarious that acting alone could not sustain her. For this role, she was likely paid a scale rate of roughly $800 week $1,700 today, a poverty wage for a woman with a family. To survive the financial instability of the industry, she was forced to pivot to screenwriting, penning thousands of episodes for soap operas like Days of Our Lives just to keep a roof over her head, trading her face for her words because the camera stopped paying the bills. Her life was a testament to the invisible labor of women in Hollywood working double shifts as actress and writer while receiving little public acclaim. The tragedy of her end was the slow fade into silence. She spent her final years in a nursing facility, her sharp mind eventually succumbing to the ravages of cancer, dying just a month after the film's remake was released, as if waiting to see her story told one last time. Possessing an estimated net worth of $1 million earned mostly through writing, she died on December 10, 2003 at age 85 due to cancer. The grief of the mother was caused by the death of the father, a man whose brief appearance on screen set the entire bloody vengeance into motion. John Pickard, born on June 25, 1913, portrayed the doomed father Frank Ross in True Grit in 1969. At age 56, he played the catalyst of the film, the man whose murder by Tom Chaney ignites Mattie's quest for revenge. A veteran of the Western genre who appeared in nearly every cowboy show from Gunsmoke to Rawhide, his pay for this sacrificial role was a standard supporting fee estimated at $1,000 or roughly $8,400 adjusted for inflation, a forgettable sum for a man whose death drives the plot. However, the true horror of his life lies in the uncanny and gruesome nature of his real-life death, which was far more violent than anything scripted in the movie. Retired to his family farm in Tennessee after leaving the glitz of Hollywood, Pickard met a terrifying end when he was attacked and gored to death by a bull on his own property. The irony is suffocating. A man who spent his life playing cowboys in controlled environments was ultimately killed by the brutal reality of the frontier lifestyle he romanced on screen. Possessing an estimated net worth of $1.5 million, he died on August 4, 1993, at age 80, due to being gored by a bull in a farming accident. Frank Ross found no justice in life, but his death would eventually be judged by a powerful figure who presided over the lawless territory with an iron fist. James Westerfield, born on March 22, 1913, portrayed the imposing Judge Parker in True Grit in 1969. At the age of 56, he embodied the terrifying authority of the hanging judge, a role that would sadly serve as the final major curtain call of his career. Despite his commanding presence that filled the courtroom with dread, his financial compensation was a stark reminder of the disposable nature of character actors. He was paid an estimated weekly rate of $1,500, which adjusts to roughly $12,500 in today's currency. This sum, while decent for a working man, was a microscopic fraction of the millions John Wayne commanded. Yet, Westerfield provided the moral weight that anchored the entire film. The tragedy of his life was the invisible clock ticking down inside his chest. Even as he sentenced men to death on screen, he was unknowingly walking toward his own executioner. He never lived to see the legacy of the film fully mature, nor did he enjoy a long retirement. Just 2 years after the film's release, the heart that powered his booming voice failed him completely. A sudden and violent biological betrayal that cut his life short in its prime. He died before the era of massive residuals, leaving his estate with the modest earnings of a day laborer in the arts rather than a star. Possessing an estimated net worth of $800,000, he died on September 20th, 1971, at age 58, due to a massive heart attack. Judge Parker represented the ultimate distant authority of the law, but the man enforcing it on the ground was a face so familiar to Western fans that he seemed etched into the landscape itself. John Doucette, born on January 21, 1921, portrayed the sheriff in True Grit in 1969. At age 48, he stepped into the boots of the local lawman, a role he had played in variations across hundreds of films and television episodes, making him the definitive that guy of the Western genre. Despite appearing in high-profile classics like High Noon and The Big Heat, his pay for this appearance was a standard supporting fee estimated at $1,000 per week, or roughly $8,400 adjusted for inflation, a blue-collar wage for a man who helped build the myth of the American West. He was the ultimate victim of the volume over value trap. Because he was never the lead, he received negligible residuals, forcing him to work with a relentless mechanical consistency to maintain his livelihood. His tragedy was the anonymity of his ubiquity. He was everywhere, yet owned nothing of the franchises he populated. He spent his final years far removed from the dust and horses, fighting a slow and losing battle against cancer, a disease that withered the rugged frame that had stood toe-to-toe with John Wayne. He died as one of the last true survivors of the studio system, a working-class hero who faded into the sunset without the glory. Possessing an estimated net worth of $3 million accumulated through decades of thrift, he died on August 16, 1994, at age 73 due to cancer. While the sheriff stood for the stability of the town, the legal system was manipulated by men who operated in the gray areas, represented by a lawyer, whose sharp mind could not save the actor from obscurity. Alfred Ryder, born on January 5, 1916, portrayed the defense attorney Gowdy in True Grit in 1969. At age 53, he brought a sharp reptilian intelligence to the courtroom scenes, challenging Rooster Cogburn with a civilized menace. A respected veteran of radio, and the stage his compensation for this supporting turn was a modest industry scale, estimated at $1,200 per week, which adjusts to roughly $10,000 in today's currency, a fleeting paycheck that barely registered against the cost of living in Hollywood. Ryder's tragedy was the hollowness of his later years. Despite a resume that included Star Trek and extensive theater work, he slipped into a profound professional silence as he aged, the phone ringing less and less until it stopped altogether. He was a master technician of acting who was treated as a disposable day player, denied the financial back end that would have secured a comfortable old age. He spent his final decade in the quiet shadows of a town that worships youth, his contributions to the golden age of television largely forgotten by the masses. His death was a quiet punctuation mark on a life spent supporting others, leaving behind a legacy of competence, but not fortune. Possessing an estimated net worth of $1.5 million, he died on April 16, 1995, at age 79, due to natural causes. Gowdy fought with words, but the outlaws he defended relied on muscle, represented by a henchman who symbolized the industry's harsh treatment of ethnic actors. Carlos Rivas, born on February 16, 1925, portrayed the bandit Dirty Bob in True Grit in 1969. At age 44, Rivas played the stereotypical Mexican outlaw, a role that highlighted the limited and often demeaning opportunities available to Hispanic actors in the 1960s. Despite his talent and a significant role in The King and I, his pay for this Western was a discriminatory rate estimated at $800 per week, or roughly $6,700 adjusted for inflation. a pittance that reflected the systemic racism of the casting couch. The tragedy of his career was the henchman trap. He was forever cast as the dirty, dangerous foreigner denied the chance to play the hero or the romantic lead in American cinema, forcing him to suppress his artistic dignity to put food on the table. He was a man of great pride and skill reduced to a caricature by a prejudiced industry. His final battle was not a shootout but a grueling war against prostate cancer, a disease that slowly consumed him, stripping away the strength he had used to endure decades of typecasting. He died largely unheralded, a soldier of cinema who was used for his look and discarded when the genre faded. Possessing an estimated net worth of $1 million, he died on June 16, 2003, at age 78 due to prostate cancer. Dirty Bob was a lawless element, but the film also featured officers of the frontier who tried to bridge the gap between cultures, played by an actor struggling with his own identity. Ron Soble, born on March 28, 1928, portrayed Captain Boots Finch in True Grit in 1969. At age 41, he played the Choctaw Light Horse Captain, a casting choice that reflects the era's practice of using white actors. Soble was the son of a Russian Jewish immigrant to play Native American roles. For this supporting part, he was compensated with a standard fee estimated at $1,000 per week, which adjusts to roughly $400 today, money earned by wearing a mask of ethnicity that wasn't his own. His career was a strange tragedy of identity. He found his greatest fame playing Chico in the TV version of Shane. Yet he spent his life hiding his true background to fit the exotic mold Hollywood created for him. He received no residuals for the endless reruns of his TV work, leaving him financially vulnerable when the roles dried up. The horror of his final years was a dual assault on his body. He battled both lung cancer and a brain tumor, a devastating combination that attacked his breath and his mind simultaneously. He spent his dying days fighting a war on two fronts, a cruel end for a man who spent his career navigating the borderlands of identity. Possessing an estimated net worth of $2 million, he died on May 2, 2002 at age 74 due to lung cancer and a brain tumor. Captain Finch patrolled the wild territories, but the film's world was populated by civilized professionals as well. Represented by a veteran actor taking his final bow, Donald Woods, born on December 2, 1906, portrayed the character Barlow in True Grit in 1969. At age 63, this appearance was one of the final credits in a career that stretched back to the 1930s, where he had once been a leading man in B-movies. For this brief role in a blockbuster, he was paid a scale rate for veterans estimated at $1,500 per week, or roughly $12,500 adjusted for inflation, a respectful but final payday for a fading star. The tragedy of Wood's life was the slow, agonizing slide from the top of the marquee to the bottom of the cast list. He watched his fame evaporate over decades, eventually retiring from acting shortly after this film to become a real estate agent just to maintain his lifestyle. It is a profound sorrow to see a man who once carried films reduced to selling houses because the industry he loved no longer had a place for him. His death was a quiet conclusion to a life of reinvention, passing away in Palm Springs, far from the cameras that once adored him. He died not as a movie star, but as a businessman who survived the brutality of fading fame. Possessing an estimated net worth of $4 million largely from real estate success, he died on March 5, 1998 at age 91 due to cardiac arrest. Barlow represented the established white society of the frontier, but the next character brought a completely different cultural perspective, engaging in a trade that defined the economics of the West. Ken Renard, born on November 19, 1905, portrayed the loyal retainer, Yarnell, in the film True Grit in 1969. At the age of 64, he stepped into the role of the devoted servant, a character that highlighted the complex racial dynamics of the post-Civil War West. Despite his poignant performance, which served as the emotional anchor for the Ross family during their time of grief, his compensation was a stark reflection of the systemic marginalization of actors of color during the era. He was paid a standard supporting scale rate estimated at $400 per week, which adjusts to roughly $300 in today's currency. This sum was a pittance for a man who brought such quiet dignity to the screen, yet Renard was trapped in the exotic casting box his entire career, often playing Native Americans or Caribbean characters without ever breaking into the lucrative tier of stardom that commanded residuals. His tragedy was one of invisible excellence. He was a Trinidadian actor of immense skill, who was forced to exist in the periphery of white narratives, his contribution essential to the plot, but undervalued by the payroll department. He spent his final years in the quiet obscurity that often befalls character actors, far removed from the red carpets, passing away in a hospital bed, without the industry pausing to mourn the loss of a pioneer. Possessing an estimated net worth of $500,000 accumulated through decades of modest work, he died on November 16, 1993, at age 87 due to natural causes. Yarnell was a faithful friend to the family, but the background of the frontier was populated by silent figures whose real-life lineage was far more prestigious than their uncredited roles suggested. Albert Cavens, born on October 1, 1906, portrayed a boarding house guest in the film True Grit in 1969. At age 63, he appeared as a largely silent background figure in the bustling world of Fort Smith, a humiliating reduction for a man who was Hollywood royalty in the world of stunts and swordplay. The son of the legendary fencing master Fred Cavens, who trained Douglas Fairbanks and Errol Flynn Albert, was a master swordsman who had once doubled for Tyrone Power. Yet here he was paid a meager day player rate estimated at $120, which adjusts to a pitiful $1,000 in today's money. This financial decline highlights the cruel disposability of the industry. Once the body slows down and the swashbuckling era fades, the master technician is reduced to human scenery, paid barely enough to cover a day's living expenses. He received 0 residuals for his contribution to the film's atmosphere, existing as a ghost of the Golden Age, trapped in a new Hollywood production that had no use for his specific set of elegant skills. His life ended in the quiet shadows of the industry. He helped build a man who taught stars how to be heroes, but died as an extra in the crowd. Possessing an estimated net worth of $800,000, he died on December 17, 1985, at age 79, due to liver disease and natural causes. From the silent observer in the boarding house, we moved to a man whose face was synonymous with villainy. Yet here, he stood on the side of the law in an ironic twist of casting. Myron Healey, born on June 8, 1923, portrayed the deputy at prisoner unloading in the film True Grit in 1969. At age 46, he took on the role of the lawman overseeing the transfer of captives, a jarring sight for Western fans, who knew him almost exclusively as the sneering bad guy in hundreds of B-movies. Despite being one of the most prolific actors in the genre, appearing in over 500 projects, his pay for this supporting turn was a standard industry wage estimated at $700 per week, or roughly $800 adjusted for inflation, a working-class paycheck for a man who was the backbone of the Saturday matinee. He was a victim of the heavy typecast, forever destined to be beaten by the hero, and denied lucrative endorsements or leading man salaries, grinding out a living by dying on screen repeatedly. His personal life was a chaotic landscape of 5 marriages, a search for stability that seemed to elude him, just as the hero eluded his grasp in the movies. The tragedy of his final act was the breakdown of the body that had taken so many on-screen punches. Complications from hip surgery led to a rapid decline, a painful end for the ultimate tough guy. Possessing an estimated net worth of $1.5 million, he died on December 21, 2005 at age 82 due to heart failure following hip surgery. The credits may roll, but for the cast of True Grit, the darkness didn't end when the director yelled, "Cut." It lingers, a chilling reminder that fame often comes with a terrible price. Now, I turn the question to you. Was this truly a sinister curse that hunted them down one by one, or just a series of cruel coincidences? Whisper your theories in the comments below. I read everything. If you have the courage to uncover more of Hollywood's buried secrets and blood-stained legacies, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell into the darkness. Until next time, remember, the truth is often scarier than fiction. Goodbye.